Good morning, Patriots. Good morning. Welcome to the 326th consecutive Friday meeting of the East Valley Red Friday Patriots. Thank you for an early rise in support of America's deployed service members, and believe me, we and they sincerely appreciate your support. You know, today, August 29th, we have a special occasion to celebrate. Today commemorates the United States' 109th birthday of the United States Marine Corps Reserve. Authorized by Congress through the Naval Appropriations Act of 1916 and formally established on August 29, 1916. The branch is often referred to as the Marine Forces Reserve, and without question, the term Marine is a title that is earned. Its significance is central to the identity and culture of the United States Marine Corps. Now, the total enlistment period for a U.S. Marine Corps reservist is 8-year military service obligation, which is then split between active duty and the reserves, depending on the specific contract that is signed. Active duty contracts are generally 4 or 5 years, and that would be followed by the remainder of 8 years served in the inactive ready reserve. While the reserve enlistments are 6 years in a drilling status, with some options for 8-year terms. Therefore, most Marine veterans will likely have at some time served in a reserve capacity. They will have served either as a selected Marine Corps reservist drilling once monthly, or as a member of the individual ready reserve, most of whom are former active component Marines who've not completed their total military service obligation, but they have completed their initial contractual period of active duty, or serving as a retired commissioned officer or senior non-commissioned officer who can be called to active duty upon certain circumstances. Regardless of prior duty status, they currently and are always will be Marines and deserve our utmost respect and appreciation for their service. You know, as we reflect on history, the Marine Reserve has been activated for numerous engagements since their formation in 1916, to include World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Operation Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Fast forward to today, the current strength of the selected Marine Reserve is 33,000 personnel drilling at 184 reserve training centers located throughout the United States. You know, the Reserve Force supplements the 168,500 Marine personnel that are currently serving on active duty. They're headquartered in New Orleans, and the Marine Reserve has as their motto, augment, support, reinforce. As outlined in Title 10 of the United States Code, and as originally introduced under the National Security Act of 1947, the three primary areas of responsibility for the United States Marine Corps are: 1, the seizure or defense of advanced naval bases and other land operations to support naval campaigns; 2, to the development of tactics, techniques, and equipment used by amphibious landing forces in coordination with the Army and Air Force and 3, such other duties as the President or Department of Defense may direct. The mission of the United States Marine Forces Reserve is to augment and reinforce active Marine forces in time of war, national emergency, or contingency operations, to provide personnel and operational tempo relief for the active forces in peacetime, and to provide personnel and operational tempo relief for the active forces that may be involved with national emergency or contingency operations. Also, they provide services to our community, i.e. Toys for Tots. Of note is that the United States Marine Corps is currently moving forward with a more robust system of integration of the reserve forces. The ultimate goal is to seamlessly integrate the reserve component as a strategic asset to support the active forces in a wide range of operations, a concept known as total force. This has led to formalized command relationships, much less training, to ensure active and reserve units can work together efficiently. Unlike other military branches, where the reserve may specialize in unique capabilities, the Marine Force Reserve mirrors the active component structure with its own air, ground, and logistics units. The design is intended to enable quick, seamless integration of reserve forces with active duty units. It will be most interesting to see how the Corps restructuring actually rolls out over the coming years. But in the interim, the Marine Corps remains one of the most important military assets the country has. So with those of you who served our country in the United States Marine Corps Selected Reserve or Individual Ready Reserve, please stand. If you served in the active reserve and selected reserve or in the ready reserve, 1, Joe, you are a United States Marine Corps retired officer. So you would be able to call any time and every time that the Department of Defense says go. Can we have a hoorah for these Marines? Hoorah! Thank you. You know, today as we commemorate the birthday of the United States Marine Corps Reserve Forces, we must also remember and honor the 13 U.S. service members who, on August 26, 2021, only 4 years ago, were killed in a suicide bombing attack by an ISIS terrorist at Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport's Abbey Gate. This was during the disastrous withdrawal of United States forces from Afghanistan. There were also 45 civilians standing near that gate who were wounded in that blast. In total, 11 United States Marines, 1 Fleet Marine Force Navy corpsman, and an Army soldier died in that attack. This was the single deadliest day for U.S. forces in Afghanistan in a decade. God rest their souls and bring peace to their families. Will you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do want to take this opportunity to introduce a guest that we have this morning. Thayer Verschoon, will you stand, please? Thayer is the Constituent Services Rep for Congressman Andy Biggs, 5th District, Arizona. I think very likely you may see more of Thayer here in the near future. We're hoping so anyhow, but we're glad to have you with us today. I also want to advise that Thayer is a United States Army veteran who served 1983 to 1986. He was an NBC specialist, nuclear biological chemical specialist.
That's correct.
Did you retain any of those skill sets?
Well,
do we need to send you through retraining?
If I had to start doing downwind predictions and R.E.D readings, I'd probably have to get a little remedial training there.
Thayer, we're glad to have you with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here, and thank you, all of you, for your service.
Thank you. I noticed that we also have Chip Wilson, Mayor of Apache Junction, joining us again today. Chip, glad to have you with us. And I've already mentioned, but Joe and Susan Rozier are here back today. They've been on the road for a while. They're on 24/7 call for any type of emergency that might occur around the world, by the way, through the Billy Graham Evangelistic, what is it? Association. Glad to have you back with us. Do we have any Army combat medics or Navy corpsmen in attendance this morning? Those that earn the Army's Combat Medic Badge or the Navy's Fleet Marine Force Badge, will you stand? Thank you for your vital service to our country. You know, no doubt the combat medics have a tough and extraordinarily essential job. We sincerely appreciate the service that they provide to our troops. You know, United States Army medics and U.S. Navy corpsmen serving with the U.S. Marine Corps were really the enlisted first responders of the Vietnam War. The medics and corpsmen, or docs, as they were affectionately called, provided the initial evaluation of the patient, often treating victims while under fire. The docs administered first aid such as securing the airway, stopping bleeding, dressing wounds, splinting fractures, so much more. Throughout the Vietnam conflict, the medical NCO, for the first time, utilized both offensive and defensive weapons against the enemy. Rifles and grenades were as relevant as an aid bag for the combat medic on the battlefield. Would you believe that the life expectancy of a combat medic during a firefight was a mere 6 seconds? Medics were shot at regularly by the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army soldiers, and an estimated 1,100 medics were killed during the course of the Vietnam War. This morning, I have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker, Kerry Pardue, who is accompanied this morning by his wife, Stephanie. Stephanie, raise your hand, please. Glad to have you with us today, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us. So allow me to provide a brief overview of our guest speaker, who, by the way, originated from Blue Island, Illinois, also home of Gary Sinise, who is also an exceptionally strong military and veteran advocate. Kerry Pardue served in Vietnam for 1 year during the period March 23, 1968 to March 23, 1969. He was a combat medic with a recon platoon assigned to the 9th Infantry Division. Kerry served in the field for 8 months, taking care of 60 men, and his final 4 months in Vietnam were spent at the battalion aid station back at his base camp. Upon his return to the States, Kerry received orders assigning him to the 18th Airborne Corps. But instead, he went to the Pentagon, pulled some strings, got the orders changed to be assigned to the Flight Surgeon's office at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Whose string did you pull? So he got his preferred assignment to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, where he spent 3 months before being deployed to Mannheim, Germany to serve out his remaining 10 months in the Army. Following his discharge, Kerry took a 12-year break in service. He served as a detective with the Newport News, Virginia Police Department as a burglary, juvenile, and homicide investigator, and was later promoted to the Police Community Relations Director. He then served as a letter carrier with the United States Postal Service for 12 years in Newport News, Virginia, ultimately located here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Approximately 12 years following his discharge from active duty service, Kerry joined the Arizona Army National Guard as an instructor with the Arizona Military Academy, served 10 years instructing military leadership courses for the primary advanced senior leadership course programs. Following his United States Postal Service career, he became a recruiter for a vocational technical college, delivering presentations to high school students and interviewing prospective students for acceptance by the college. Kerry is the recipient of the Combat Medic Badge, the Purple Heart Medal, and the Bronze Star Medal with V device for valor, among numerous other decorations, awards, and citations. He is a 100% service-connected disabled veteran. Currently, Kerry served as a volunteer at Arizona State University, where he teaches creative writing classes to veterans. He also serves as chairman of the board for the National Association of Military Medics and Corpsmen. He is an author, a poet, having authored 2 books, Poems in the Keys of Life, Reflections of a Combat Medic, which is a reflective journey to find healing from PTSD, and a second book, Rice Patty Stew and Saigon Tea. I'm most anxious to read that book. Kerry is also an artist, and his most recent work is a painting titled PTSD. This is one of numerous copies he made for that painting. He and his wife Stephanie have 3 children, 10 grandchildren, and soon to be 5 great-grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kerry Doc Pardue.
I do appreciate that glamorous introduction. Of course, I have a shirt that says P-U-R-A. It's Pardue, you are awesome. My goal now is to become the longest surviving Vietnam veteran. So far, so good. I only have 30 minutes. I wanted 3 days, but he only gave me 30 minutes. A little over 3 million men served in Vietnam. About 12,000 women also served. And a lot of people don't realize that women did serve in Vietnam. I call them closet vets because of the trauma they saw or how they were treated when they came home. It was just as bad for them as it was for the male soldiers. One of the poems I wrote is called The Last Breath. I love the nurses. Where am I? I'm afraid. You're in the hospital. It's okay. I'll stay here just for you. I don't hurt anymore, but it's hard to breathe. I have given you something to take care of the pain. But promise me that you won't leave. Don't worry, I'm here just for you. You're my date tonight. Your hair looks just like my mom's when she pulls it back, and I bet she's very proud of you. You smell just like the lemon trees back home. I'm Kathleen, but my friends call me Kat. My name is Tom, but the guys call me Sunshine because I'm from Florida. Kat, you are so beautiful. Thanks, you ain't so bad yourself. You got a girl back home? No one special, I'm just 19, just friends. Kat, this is hurt to die. I'm seeing a bright light, and Kat, I don't want to go. Tommy, it's wonderful where you're going. Tommy, go in peace, my friend. I'm here helping you to cross over. Let it all out, the breath. Close your eyes and follow the light. I love you, Tommy. You are my sunshine. Today I want to share a little of my journey from being in Vietnam 56 years ago. I didn't think I was that old. I'm actually 78. And we're kind of celebrating an anniversary. My wife and I, coming up September 5th. We've been married 57 years. She has put up with me forever, through the bad stuff too. And I love this woman to pieces. Let me tell you, she's my caregiver, she's my helpmate, she's my best friend. So, I was a 19-year-old guy who got a letter to get drafted. I went to go take a physical, and you know what? They wouldn't let us go home. They put us on a bus and sent us to Fort Leonard, Missouri from Chicago. Couldn't even say goodbye to your mama. You know, it was that bad. Or they needed you that bad. But I felt like an old man in a young person's body. I felt worn out, used up, and lost. I suffered the loss of many young men. I kept wondering why not me instead of them. I was exposed to injury, death, blood, and body parts. I used to wake up at night dreaming I was covered in blood. It was so real I could see it. When I first got to Vietnam, I wondered, would I be able to help the people I was there to serve? The wounded, to help somebody survive. Was I good enough? How would I deal with death and dying? How would I handle being shot at? Would I be good enough? It didn't take me long to find out the answers to those questions and 1,000 more. I had a really cool drill sergeant named Staff Sergeant Baker. And when we arrived at Fort Leonard, Missouri at 3 o'clock in the morning, can you imagine getting your basic training at 3 o'clock in the morning? And all the drill sergeants were out there, they said, "Get in formation." What in the hell's a formation? I wondered, you know? So we finally all got lined up, and Staff Sergeant Baker, who's the senior NCO, gave a speech. He said, "Now I know that some of you do not want to be here. And I'm going to tell you, we don't want you unless you want to serve." Now that's strange for a drill sergeant to say, don't you think? Well, wait till the end of the story. He said, "Now for all of you who want to leave and go back to your mamas, down over the hill is a bus waiting to take you back home." You ought to have seen all the guys start running over to get to the hill. Before they got to the top of the hill, I said, "Stop! You missed the bus. You're mine for the next 8 weeks." So, I began to realize I was in for something I wanted to do. I was determined to become the best soldier I could be, wanting to learn everything. My favorite 2 words was, "Yes, drill sergeant," as loud as I could. We were in our 7th week, and we had learned to work together as a team. and I felt I had grown somewhat happy about everything. One day we were going to have a room inspection to check out the soldiers, their foot lockers, wall lockers, displays, even how our bunks were done. Staff Sergeant Baker came up to me and looked at me, couldn't find anything wrong. I was standing at attention and Staff Sergeant Baker asked me if I liked him. I said, "Oh yes, Drill Sergeant, I like you." The next question kind of threw me for a loop. He says, "Private Pardue, do you love me?" I said, "Oh hell no, Drill Sergeant, I don't love you." And I'm smiling, and everybody starts laughing all around the other guys in the barracks. And he said, "Who gave you permission to smile?" And I didn't answer. He said, "I asked who gave you permission to smile." He said, "Wipe that smile off your face." I don't do anything. And he said, "I said, wipe that smile off your face." So I'm beginning to wipe it, you know. He said, "Now, choke that smile." And I'm choking it. He said, "I'll throw it on the floor. Now stomp on it. Make sure it's dead." I said, "Yes, still, Sergeant, it's dead." He said, "No, get down and check and see if it's breathing." So I get down on my hands and knees, and no, it's not breathing, Drill Sergeant. So we went on a 12-hour leave, and the next morning, guess who's at breakfast? Staff Sergeant Baker. He walks up to us. He says, "Well, how did you girls enjoy your day off?" We said, "Fine." He said, "Pardue, you still got that smile?" I said, "Yes, Drill Sergeant, it's in my pocket." He says, "When you guys finish eating, you're going to do a memorial service for that smile. You're going to go by the steps of your barracks, dig a hole, bury that smile, and do a memorial service." And my best friend in basic training, Bill Hant from Chicago, who also became a medic, gave the eulogy. It was beautiful. He says, "The best smile I ever saw." So the biggest difference between basic training and medic training was how we were treated. We were a little bit more respected, no more double time. I'm sorry, Marines, but you double timed even after you got out of basic training. You did double times everywhere. I'm glad I didn't become a Marine, but I'm proud that you did. And you were an officer on top of it. Well, let me tell you what, let me just break here a minute. We had a brand new butterball second lieutenant, 90-day wonder, OCS, get assigned to my unit in Vietnam. Now I have 3 days left. But not only did the medics take care of the wounded, we also were in charge of cleanliness of the area. So they gave me a job of burning the crap. Big wooden buildings, 3 holes, 55-gallon drum barrels cut in half. And my job was to pull those barrels out, put gasoline and diesel fuel, put them back in, not put them back in yet, but set them on fire. Get sticky. Oh my God, the smell was awful. So this sailor who's in it comes out and says, "Boy," well, that got my attention. I say, "Who you calling boy, sir?" "I'm not a boy, I'm a sergeant." I would appreciate being addressed that way. He said, "Boy, you better hurry up." Now, he really pissed me off. And I've been in Vietnam 362 days. And I didn't take lightly to his calling me that. I felt disrespected. So I put the gas and the diesel fuel in the officer's latrine, pushed the barrels back in, went inside, and lit the barrels. That building went up so fast. I was so proud of that fire. Whoops, I just admitted to a felony of arson, didn't I? Statute of limitations over with. So I had to hide for 3 days so he didn't find me until I left Vietnam. I did a pretty good job. So and then the Friday before we left, we had a detail clean the barracks. I was so tired of those details. But they had a rule. On Saturdays and Sundays, if you were kind of religious and went to religious services, you could go instead of doing the detail. So I did the next best thing. I went to the Jewish service, and I'm Baptist. I have no idea what they do. So I go through the service, and the rabbi comes up afterwards. He says, "You're not Jewish, are you?" I said, "How could you tell?" He said, "You didn't wear your yarmulke and your hat." "Oh, where do you get one of those?" He said, "Never mind." He said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I had to get out of a detail, but I love bagels and cream cheese." And he laughed and said, "You can come back anytime you want to." So we graduate, and we all get a left-eye training to go to Fort Sam Houston, Texas for medic training. Bill Hant, who did the eulogy for the smile, we went through training together, and we both thought the training was pretty easy. We enjoyed what we were taught: first aid, preventing shock, learning to take temperatures, taking blood pressures, splintings, bungee wounds, use of tourniquets, and CPR and transporting the wounded. Giving shots and IVs were really cool. One day, one of the medics asked, "Are we going to practice on oranges?" And the sergeant said, "Oh no, grab a partner. The only way you can learn how to do this is on a real person." Yeehaw! So, grab a partner, which we did. Now, during my training, I found out where the new officers, now officers went to a 2-week basic training. The medical officers went to Fort Sam Houston for their 2 weeks of training. My company commander in Germany went in as a lieutenant colonel because he was a thoracic surgeon. Okay? Now, he's 2 ranks away from being a general. I've never seen a uniform, nothing. So I found out where these guys are unloading when they get off the trucks. Now, they're loaded up with their field gear, all the stuff they take to the field. And they're getting off the truck as best they can. And I said, "Come on, sir. Come on, sir. Come on, sir." And you ought to see them. Someone saluted left-handed, someone saluted right-handed. People are dropping this stuff. I'm having a ball. I've always been a prankster, okay? But I did that 3 or 4 times. Now, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend officers. I loved officers too, okay? Now, when I got to Vietnam, I wasn't sure what to expect. I decided just to go with the flow. I was scared. We land and none of us have a weapon. I couldn't imagine how we could land and no one would give you a weapon in Vietnam. Didn't get weapons for 4 or 5 days. So I hope they were watching out for us. Apparently they were. That we didn't get attacked. Now, when I was in medic training, the last week we were there, orders came down. There were 4 companies. Alpha Company all went stateside. Imagine that. Bravo Company all went to Europe. Wow, where am I going to go? Charlie Company went stateside. Where did my company go? Delta Company. Every one of us were signed to go to Vietnam. But that was okay. It was part of the assignment. My first assignment was go to Play Crew, Vietnam, which is Central Highlands. Very cool weather, about 70 degrees. Beautiful. You remember that, don't you?
Only at night.
Only at night, okay. Well, it wasn't 120% humidity, I can tell you, like it was in the Delta. So I was there 3 months. And then I got assigned to the 9th Infantry Division. The patch on my back is red, white, and blue, like a flower. We were known as the flower children. Now, back in the 60s, that was kind of what it was. But my first casualty was in Play Crew. My 3rd day in country at the unit, I went on an ambush patrol. It was a group of 12 of us went out, and we were there to try to keep from being mortared. So we would set up an ambush patrol. We were going out, and the South Vietnamese outpost thought we were the Viet Cong and opened up on us. the first sergeant that was with us said, don't shoot back, don't shoot back. And he's getting everybody to yell, where's your eyes, where's your eyes? Well, we're walking along and the firing starts and M16s and M60s, and one guy pushes me down because I'm just standing around looking, you know. And he pushed me down, and in doing so, he took a round to his side. His name was Benny Delcash from Alabama. So I bandaged him up and gave him a shot of morphine. And I wanted him to get his mind off his wound. So I asked him about his family. He said, I have the most beautiful wife, 5 or 6 brothers and sisters, I don't recall the number, and parents that love me. He said, am I going to die? I said, no, Benny, you got Doc Pardue. You're not going to die. So we get him back to the aid station. They send him over to the hospital. He goes through surgery. I go to see Benny twice in the hospital. The 28th day, he's still in Vietnam in the hospital. And I got word he died of liver failure. The day when they sent the troops home, or sent him to Germany. But back in those days, they kept him until you were stable. He never got stable. I did go see his family, and it was really nice. So a couple months later, I get sent to the 9th Infantry as a field medic. Over the next 8 months, I saw lots of firefights and people getting wounded. Some do die, but with wounds that were received, no one could have saved them. Each death I saw, each wound I treated, stays with my memory. I couldn't believe that I'm invincible. Once I came out of the field, I had jobs to go to local villages after sick call, and we would do what we call med caps. We'd go into the villages and treat the locals. We show cartoons to the kids in their language. And we just basically reaching out to the people to try to get their support. So I do remember 2 things about doing that. The first time I went there was a pregnant woman. And her water breaks right there in front of God and everybody. So I tried to get her to lay down. She said, oh, no. She squats down as far as she can squat. And that's how they deliver babies. They squat down very low. So I have to get on my stomach, put my hands underneath, and play catch. But you know, gravity does very well for the Vietnamese. And so ladies, I'm not going to say this because you're past that age of having babies. I'm going to say try squatting. The next one. So then I got invited to sit down with the local villagers to eat. Well, there was 3 babies I helped deliver the same way, squatting and catching. So I sat down with the village people and we ate. Now, the food really looked strange. Some of it didn't smell very good. So I ate just to be polite. Now, the meat I tried, oh my God, that was so delicious. It was sweet and stringy, very tasty. I had 3 helpings. I made a pig of myself. So I finally asked, what is that? And they said, dog. Now, every time I think about that, I want to bark and scratch, you know. My worst day in Vietnam was when our base camp got overrun with the enemy in our camp. It's a month before I go home. Our building got hit with 3 RPGs, and my best friend is killed. One lands right at his bed. He's laying down. I get knocked to the ground when the RPG went off. I got up and ran to the dispensary to help out with the wounded. The attack lasted about an hour and a half. The soldier walks in and lays down on the stretcher and doesn't say a word. And I'm working on somebody, and I look over at him, and he looks like he's died. So I went over to him and started CPR. and I bring him back from death's door. That was my best night in Vietnam. So my worst day in Vietnam and my best day in Vietnam, same day. About a month later, I get ready to leave Vietnam to go home. So I'm so thankful that I made a whole year with just minor wounds from a mortar attack. I'm on the plane and finally leave Vietnam's airspace, heading home, and everybody cheered when they announced that we left Vietnam's airspace. I'm on the plane, and I began to think about stopping to get some White Castle hamburgers and see my mom and brothers and sisters. I landed in Oakland, California on March 23rd. Of all the airports they could send veterans home from Vietnam, Oakland, San Francisco area was probably the worst. It was the worst travesty they did to the military guys coming home. Because most of the anti-war protests started there. I am confronted right away. I was called a baby killer. Other names, I was spit at. And one guy even threw a bag of what I thought was blood, hit my uniform and broke open. And I'm beginning to cry. I walked to my gate, and then the Eastern Airlines rep saw what was happening, the gate agent. She came over to me, she said, "Follow me." She puts me on the plane, me in first class. She said, "This is your seat." And somebody comes on and asks to get up. I had that whole seat first class. 2 steak dinners. Okay. It was wonderful. She wakes me up when we land in O'Hare. I leave Midway, got White Castles, and by the way, they were totally awesome. People often ask, what is PTSD? As the painting suggests, it's a painting I did that took first place at the at the Veterans Administration challenge show. And I took first place nationwide with this painting. It's called PTSD, Putting Back the Pieces of My Life. It's been a journey. Now, I had 50 paintings of this commissioned. Chuck Byers has number 2. My best friend, Lloyd Beamer's got number 1. Well, no, I got number 1. It's on my wall, the original. But this painting is the very last one I have. It's number 30 of 50. It is for sale. It's $125, so don't everybody trip over each other getting into the table in the back. I also have books. This is my second book. Rice, Patty, Stew, and Saigon Tea. You knew I was weird anyway, right? That's a weird title. It's got a lot of the poems I wrote in my first book, but this also tells my story. There's some at the table back there. They're $20 each. So I'll see it. They're already signed. So, World War I, PTSD is not new. World War I veterans had shell shock. During World War II, the symptoms were battle fatigue and conditioners called war neurosis or combat stress. And about 40% of all soldiers who serve in combat suffer from PTSD. And we're not sure why that number is around 40%, but every conflict since we went to war, it's about 40% of the people who serve. It's a condition that affects your mind, your spirit. You're not only affected physically, mentally, but spiritually as well. Life goes on, but PTSD does not go away by trying to forget about it. It doesn't go away with time. It gets diluted a little, but it pops up in relationships. It pops up at work. Pops up in relationships that you have with friends and family. Emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, it affects every part of the person. When I came home, I had no idea what PTSD was. And when I left Vietnam, I actually didn't know I did this, but I packed up Vietnam and came with me. I tried to go to the VFW to join. You know what those World War II vets told me? You guys lost your war. We don't want Vietnam veterans. Can you imagine that, veterans telling another veteran? I am so very thankful that today our troops are welcomed home. They've tried to do a welcome home for the Vietnam guys, and a little too late, I think. But am I better? I think so. Do I suffer as much as I did? No. I did go to the VA hospital in 1972, 1976, 1985. I was told nothing they could do for me. And finally, in 1992, I had a leg infection. Was put in the VA hospital, given an antibiotic IV. And the guy in the bed next to me was a Korean vet and had a heart attack. And I'm doing CPR on him. I have a flashback. So they sent mental health up to come see me. And they said, come see us when you get out of here because we can help you. I said, you haven't helped me in the last 32 years. You know, I come to you guys. Nothing that you can do for me. I had filed a claim in 1972. Well, in 2002, I was given my disability and back pay for 32 years. So I was pretty good, too. It was like a great savings account, right? They told me to come see me when I got released, and I did. I went to see a psychiatrist for about 4 years, once a week, who helped me learn how to deal and cope. I also joined a group, and most of the guys in the group met once a week, and they were mostly medics and corpsmen. So we had a great group. I grew up with the macho thing that men don't cry. Yes, men do cry. They need to. There were two things that helped me while dealing alone. I started to write down my thoughts and feelings, and some of it came out as poetry, which surprised the hell out of me. I never wanted to be a poet, never wanted to be a writer. I found that by writing, I was able to work on some things that helped me cope and resolve some issues. The second thing was I had a pen pal in Vietnam I started writing to. I wrote a letter to this magazine called Hot Rod Cartoons. I picked it up in the dispensary, and so I wrote in. In about 2 months, I got 3,500 letters from all over the United States, from women. I was like a chicken in a rooster house. I mean, like a rooster in a chicken house. So I picked out 2 people to write to, gave the rest of the letters away, and only one person wrote me back. How lucky for me. How lucky for you. Now, how Stephanie got the magazine, she had lost her first husband in Vietnam. He was a Marine. Killed during Operation Allenbrook, May 16th, 1968, in a mortar attack. So she decided she was going to write some GIs and give them some moral support. So when I came home from Vietnam, I stayed home a week. I flew to Baltimore to meet her. I knew I was going to ask her to marry me. Guess how confident that is. Holy crap. So I fly in there, and we both get along pretty well, and I told her I wanted to go get my orders changed. So I went down to the basement of the Pentagon with a bottle of Johnny Walker Red. That will get you many doors opened. I happened to get the right door open. Guy said, where do you want to go? I said, Fort Meade, 8 miles away. He said, can't get you there, but I can get you Fort Belvoir, 60 miles away. I said, I'll take it. So I thought I was going to be there my last 14 months in the Army. Oh, no. 3 months. The 2 doctors that served there, one wore a civilian belt with his khaki uniform, other one wore brown civilian shoes. They were processed in the fact they got drafted. When I got there, I said, what's our duties? He said, you do flight physicals. He said, by the way, we don't do formations here. We don't do PT here. We try to be as much unarmy as we can. Oh, hallelujah. Well, one pilot didn't pass his flight physical, had an IG inspection done, and we're all E5s, E6s, all the medics, 6 of us. Our T&E called for 1 sergeant, the rest were privates and PFCs. So we all got sent. We had a choice, Korea or Germany. So I went to Germany for my last 10 months. And I took Steffi with me. We had gotten married by then. I knew that we had feelings for each other. So when I went to Baltimore, I met her. It's interesting as I've gone through this journey of life after combat in Vietnam, I discovered that something happened along the way. Yes, people do experience stress during times of extreme events. For me, survivor's guilt was a big one. In those times, all I could do was, when I had people that I knew were dying, I could hold their hand and just be with them. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Some of the guys asked, am I going to die? I said, oh no. I lied to them. Because some of the guys had wounds nobody could ever treat and save. I discovered 3 things about dealing with stress. Number 1, you discover what you're made of. Number 2, it deepens all your relationships. Number 3, changes your consciousness. What do I mean by that? The depth and appreciation of those friendships are extraordinary. I found that what makes people happy is their internal, emotional, and social relationships. Okay, am I better? Maybe, but I do have days of flashbacks and dreams, getting angry and yelling. What has really helped me is a couple of things. The writing I did and continue to do. I was able to write a book about my journey. Lastly, I got involved in helping other vets deal with PTSD. I got involved in heading up a group of medics and corpsmen, an association I worked with them for 20 years. I now do things with a recovery cafe where I teach their creative writing class to help people how to learn how to write their own stories. Same way at ASU with the veterans. And I'm going to close with a poem called In the Heat of Battle. 50 years is a long time to remember your face, but you're there to remind me about the price of war. With bullets and blood and sounds that are deafening, explosion causing metal ripping into skin, I'm treating a wounded soldier, trying to save his life. My fingers and mine are busy, rushing to stop the flow of his blood. You pop out of your hole 3 feet from me. Our eyes meet, we are both surprised. Frozen in time is my instinct alone that I fire once at an intended target. You stop in mid-moment and stare deep into my eyes with a look of total surprise as if to say, I can't believe you shot me. You move in slow motion, falling to your knees. No sound from your lips, just the flow of blood. You're just a boy about the age of 15, playing war for real. I guess you found out that playing war has a heavy cost. You're the age of my own brothers, who do not know what war is. They're still playing baseball, attending school, chasing after girls. I just wish that you too didn't have to learn what happens in the heat of battle. I just wish neither of us knew about the realities of war. I would have rather have taught you about baseball, watch you chase after girls, and see you grow into a man. So, thank you for allowing me to come speak to you. This is a great organization, 326 meetings. Wow, thank you. I applaud you. I really do. Our troops need support. There's a lot of programs out there that are very helpful. Adopt a platoon, we send care packages, the Reefs, place at Arlington. These are awesome, awesome. Gary Sinise. I'll tell you one story about Gary Sinise. He and I grew up in the same town. I was his parents' paper boy when I was in 3rd grade. I was 8 years old. I was there in 1955 when he came home from the hospital. Now, I didn't realize that Gary Sinise, who later would become Lieutenant Dan, would be such a great supporter of veterans. He and I went to the same elementary school, years apart, but I got to go meet Gary, the 9th Infantry, served in Vietnam. The movie Forrest Gump, there's a sign on the tree when Bubba and Forrest go to meet Lieutenant Dan. 2nd 47th Infantry, 9th Infantry Division. Guess who my unit was? 2nd and 47th, 9th Infantry Division. Ours was a real unit. Now, I was given the honor to give Gary Sinise a plaque, make him an honorary member of our battalion. So I go to Fort Huachuca, and I'm the last one in line, and I walk up to Gary and I said, "You can tell you're from Blue Island, Illinois, if you've ever eaten White Castle's 127th Avenue and Western." He looks at me and said, "How do you know about that place?" I said, "I was your parents' paper boy. I used to go there on the way home every day when I delivered papers." Gary and I become friends. He's now living in Nashville. He's lost his son a little over a year ago to cancer. He has done such an awesome job with veterans, the children of veterans, the spouses, the families. He is awesome. I hope he becomes known as this generation's Bob Hope. There was nobody better than Bob Hope. But I hope Gary will get the same honor that Bob did. Thank you so much.
Stick with me here for just a moment. Kerry, thank you for sharing that story of your journey. That was most inspirational, and we appreciate you highlighting some of those experiences that you've had along the way. And we would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Order of the R.E.D. Hereby recognize and commend Kerry Pardue for his honorable military service, veteran support initiatives, and support of the East Valley Red Friday Patriots.
Well, thank you. You probably see me more often here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I do have something for you.
Also, give me one moment here.
Okay.
I have one other little item that we would like to adorn your shirt with.
Okay.
This is a Red Friday lapel pin, and it is a quite coveted item around this group.
Thank you.
We would very much so like for you to wear this with pride and recognition of your sharing your story with us today. And this should also prompt you to get your butt back over here as soon as possible.
Well, you can probably count on me making some meetings. Yes, sir.
We'd love to have you.
Now, I understand that you have only missed 3 meetings out of 326. Anybody else compete that? You are dedicated, man.
This guy is right behind me.
Right behind you. Richard, I'm sorry. You should have attended a couple more meetings. I do have a gift for you. It's my copy of my first book.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to reading that.
It's the first book, and what it is my poems. The second book's also my poems, but it's also my story. You'll have to buy that one. I'm sorry. It's 20. Now this painting, it's the only one I have left. Now the book's normally 25. I'm selling it for 20. The painting normally is 150. It's 125 today. Now let's make it 110. So that's the last one. So thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed being here.
I'm also an auctioneer.
All right, cool.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Can I have a hoo-ah for this gentleman?
Thank you so much.
All right. I'll need to direct.
I have never gotten a standing ovation when I got home. So, Stephanie, you need to learn something, honey.
Thank you again. Appreciate you, sir. Well, I think that it is raffle time.
We use this.
So please get your tickets out. Ron, come up here, please, sir. We're going to ask Ron to draw one of these tickets. I do want you to know that in addition to the purchase of raffle tickets, we had a lot of folks threw some money in the pot for this Wreaths Across America. We had well over $200 from this morning that's going to Wreaths. Thank you for that participation. And hang tight, Ron. Okay, how about last four digits, 6295. 6295. Anybody with 6295? 6295. Look at those tickets now. 6295, going once, going twice. Draw me another ticket. Okay, then how about ticket number 6252? 6252. Right over here, come on up. Hang on one second. Is that 6252? Have you got your bifocals on? Yes. All right. Now, you tell us which you prefer, the single or the double stem. The double stem, that'll be available for you after the meeting. Congratulations, Arnie. Thank you. We are going to, because of the participation, we're going to have a second drawing, which will be for the single stem lamp. And let's see who the lucky winner on this is. Ticket number 6286. 6286. Anybody? 6286. We got Pete back here in the back. Pete, this will be available for you after the meeting. Thank you, Ron. Thanks to all of you for participating in the raffle. I want to take this opportunity to make a couple announcements. Next Friday, September 5, we've scheduled a guest speaker, and I encourage you to be present to hear the presentation by Colonel Wanda Wright, United States Air Force retired, a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. She is a third-generation veteran and currently leads the Arizona State University's Office for Veteran and Military Academic Engagement. So please mark your calendar for next Friday to be present and support our keynote speaker. Also, you know, we have a few slots that are open for members wishing to sponsor donuts for our First Friday meetings. That's the meeting where we recognize birthday celebrants. Generally, we prefer to have 2 volunteers each month to share the cost. Jim Kenyon, raise your hand. Where are you, Jim? Jim Kenyon manages the list for volunteers for our donuts. So we have a couple of slots remaining for this year and several slots open for 2026. Would appreciate some of you making the effort to volunteer for assisting on that project. Jim will be available after the meeting. If you'll see him, he'll take your name. And to those of you who may wish to share your military service history with our group, please get with me and we'll start the process of documenting your story so that I can present it to the group. You know, regardless of when, where, or how long, or in what capacity you may have served, you have a story to tell. And we'd love to hear that story. You know, a number of our members over the years have allowed me to assist in documenting their service history, and we've enjoyed learning about their military experiences. Finally, please leave your name badges at the greeting desk upon your departure. And to our guests there, Mayor, thank you for joining us today. Sincerely hope you'll return to share in our camaraderie and support our mission, please know that you'll always be welcome at our Red Friday assemblies. And as a final reminder, let us not overlook the importance of our Red Friday mission to keep our deployed warfighters in our thoughts and prayers, and to continue to demonstrate our support for these fine men and women. Thank you and enjoy your weekend.